Welcome to the fifth of 8 videos from the Roman Army 2021 UofW lecture on appearance, identity, and so on. In this fifth video, I just want to show you some of the visual evidence for soldiers in the 4th century. Admittedly, when we get to late antiquity, we have less evidence for what soldiers looked like, and it becomes more challenging. Many of the images that I'm going to show you are from one primary group of stuff from one particular mosaic. Okay. So, all right, so a few highlights. So, the 4th century CE, the 3rd century, again, we have Dura, and then move on to the 4th. So, there it is still some sculpture, okay? And here is an Arch of Galerius from Thessaloniki, or Lanika, around 300 CE. So northern Greece, and you can see some of the same kind of image that you'd find in Trajan's column or the column of Marcus Aurelius, with cavalry, Romans sort of physically dominant and above, some barbarians who are being trampled below and being crushed. We also see some of this not dissimilar equipment to what we were used to before, the tunics and the all-in-one breastplates and the helmets. And so on. So some changes, but maybe not like radical. Some of the art here is from the Arch of Constantine. The Arch of Constantine incorporated both pre-existing sculpture from monuments dating to Trajan and Marcus Aurelius, but also things of his own day. You can see the proportions are different, the classical stuff. Again, we see some of the, assuming these are all soldiers, we have a winged victory over here. We have a soldier who's wearing, again, sort of officer with the tunic and the armor, and the greaves a bit like we've seen before. But even here, we see more oval-shaped shields. Now, we did see these on the column of Trajan, but, many soldiers are associated with this, different shield types. And it looks like, as well, we also have tunics and trousers, which you can see. The tunics here and the long sleeves, this said, became more common 2nd and 3rd century, and trousers or pants, which you can see here. We see it in greater relief in, it's usually used as our main evidence for soldiers in the 4th century, the Great Hunt from the villa at Piazza Amarina in Sicily, in the early 4th century CE mosaic. So most people, or many people, take a lot of the individuals on here as soldiers. Here they have these sort of distinctive oval-shaped shields, as people would say. And again, they're wearing trousers, full pants, and they got long-sleeve tunics. They're missing some of the armor, and some might say this is a reflection of changes in the kind of equipment people use. Others might say this is more a reflection of the context. Do you wear full body armor into a hunt? Probably not. It also includes some cavalry. So if these guys are assuming these are infantry, okay, possibly even bodyguards, some of these guys here, some of these guys here, although it's, it's not clear if they're soldiers or just civilians. Another parallel process that complicates things a bit is the increasing militarization of the bureaucracy and elites in the Roman Empire. So even civilians were wearing stuff that had a more military character. So these could well be civilian or whatever elite individuals doing something this elite individuals did. They hunted in these elaborate places, but they wear military like attire to say something about themselves and how they choose to be identified. So it could be true for these guys too. The cavalry with the shields, again, long pants, but it also could be legit military stuff. We do get some in the 5th century too. It's a little bit harder. What we can use are some things like illustrated manuscripts and some mosaics from churches and so on, which often choose older subject matter. So biblical scenes, like here, Alexander the Great, possibly this guy here meeting whoever over here from Israel in the 5th century. So even if this is Alexander the Great, in theory, he's wearing contemporary to the date of this mosaic armor and equipment, which is not unlike some of the stuff we've seen before. Again, look at this. Okay, and then we go back Not from this more civilian style clothing, but more like the kinds of things we see here from the Arch of Constantine, and to a lesser degree here in the Arch of Galerius. Okay, and then this to throw in one sort of unusual piece of late antique evidence, I think one of the most interesting, but maybe less useful, is this so-called besieged city from a museum in Germany. Okay, we think it dates the 5th century CE. I was fortunate to see it in the flesh in London, and I think it was 2006 or so. It was on tour as part of a bigger exhibit. But this is a besieged city. A lot of these guys said to be Romans. There's this Roman context. And again, you can see a similar sort of equipment and armor, and even the helmets and the shield, which are rectangular and maybe ovals there. So a wide and varied body of material.